You are watching Liberty Online TV.
This is Liberty Online TV powered by Orange Sierra Leone. Orange.
At Farmers, freshness isn't just a promise, it's our way of life. From raw and smoked catfish to kanya peppers, beni, rice and gari kanya and natai, from premium crayfish, ogiri and fufu to smoked chicken, fresh eggs from the farm to the fridge, country chicken and garden fresh vegetables. Try our habanero pepper, gari, hot pepper sauce, pure honey and so much more. All locally produced, organically grown, harvested fresh every day, and hygienically processed. A fresher taste, healthier foods, stronger communities. Farmers, fresh from our farms to your home. Visit Farmers at 140 Drive Hill Station, Freetown. Call +232 74 000044.
The Ministry of Social Welfare, in collaboration with the National Commission for Persons with Disability, Sierra Leone Union on Disability Issues, organizations of persons with disabilities, and our development partners, join the world to celebrate the International Day of Persons with Disabilities on the 3rd December at the Miata Conference Car Park, UE Building in Freetown. This event will be marked by advocacy on the rights and privileges of persons with disabilities in relation to the Persons with Disability Act and the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability, the Amman Berlin Declaration, and other declarations that Sierra Leone is a signatory to.
So, what will happen on this day?
On the 3rd, the day itself, we will have the celebration starting with a wheelchair parade in the morning. Then the event itself with speeches and commitments from the government and our development partners, followed by a panel session on the rights and privileges of persons with disabilities with ministries, departments, and agencies. Then a talent exhibition and fashion show, music, dance, and drama.
Is that all?
Not at all. On the 4th of December, we have partnered with the UN Women to have a very informative and engaging town hall session exclusively on women with disabilities.
Together, let us amplify the leadership of persons with disabilities for an inclusive and sustainable future.
Term them like this, where politics they shape with future, career they define we path them, and the economy they touch everybody in life.
Big thank you to
One program where they ask the hard question them and same way so bring the answer them close to you, face to face with the movers and shakers, the voice them will matter, the issue them will count. One time per week, one big name, one big issue, one-on-one on Liberty Online TV. Every Friday, 8 to 9 p.m. with Khadija Bangura. One-on-one, only on Liberty Online TV.
Council Salon also every decision they touch the life of plenty people. One program they bring the voice of the people to the heart of politics.
This na politics and the people. The program where they give the power to the people, explain the truth, and bring the leader them close to the citizen them.
Real discussion, real voice them, real impact. Join the debate and make them hear your voice.
Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Now you platform where they turn up for the true and civil engagement. Only on Liberty Online TV.
Let me talk about politics.
Let me talk about people.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome to the midweek edition of the Breakfast Show, where they come to you live from Liberty Online TV, with a stream on Facebook, YouTube, and also on our website, where they powered by Orange Sierra Leone. We will bring this edition of the Breakfast Show come to you this Wednesday morning. My name is Khadija Bangura.
And me, na Al Hassan Kuma. Good morning. Pleasure for there, and we want to welcome you to the Breakfast Show. As always, we look at issues across the country. Today on Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025. And of course, inside this edition of the program, we can look at the 2026 budget, where the Minister of Finance, Sheikh Ahmed Fantamad Bangura, may not go read in Parliament. Well, we'd ask the question whether this particular budget they cater for the ordinary citizens across the country. You already watch the program this morning. Go send a message to the number +23274 200 545, or you either drop a message now the platform which I watch with this morning.
All right, well, this and plenty other story them they na the program for you this Wednesday morning. And as you know, from one part we major headline then this morning, where they can look at the Minister of Finance in 2026 budget, where it go read to member of parliament and serve the public on Friday. Also, it talk about how government plan for spend 30 billion new loans for SECA different projects and programs them where the bill-led administration want for embark on inside 2026. Well, as all time before the minister carried the budget gonna parliament, then they work with the experts them, na the National Revenue Authority, when are the body where they in charge of generating revenue for government expenditure. Before they can carry the budgets and parliaments, the Minister of Finance can first go the Finance Act, where go tell member of parliament somebody area them outside government's plan for raise tax for ensure say then spend per the budget where then kingdom put together. Well, the Minister of Finance been go this particular Finance Act na Parliament ahead of the budget reading. Also, certain area them, the minister don't increase tax because he say they want for generate more revenue for the government go able get money for spend. Now the budget so they don't put for 2026. This morning, we can break down the figures, we they analyze some of the area them also government say they want for add and how this realistic to the ordinary citizen them when are then taxpayer money, the government get together for ensure say then gets money for spend on the area them where they don't put inside the budget. But before we can look at the budget discussion, or they can look at another issue. Also on the 1st of December, we see also the Chief Justice be issue out direction them because it say they want for use then direction there so on the fight against drug. As we all know, drugs now one part the crisis system where government say then the fight now the country we see also President Bio be announced directives them where make it be established a task force about 2 years ago. But this BNTM again will be get another hike in the country. Also we see videos they go around the social media of how young people especially they take drugs and then they end up for lost their lives. Some they end up for get source them. And recently plenty they body they did on the streets of Freetown. And we don't they allegation then say them body they die from drugs. So we make His Excellency the President being step up again on the measures them. He add 5 additional measures them. Well, for more the President be add the measures there. So on the 1st of December, we'll see Usai, the Chief Justice say a pool legal direction them on how the fight for the drug crisis they go on at the country. Well, where the Chief Justice be issues then direction there, so we see organization like Chadi, Lawyer Society, being concerned because they say they want for protect the Constitution and the rule of law. And if you don't they follow the work where Chadi don't they do, and I know saying a civil society organization where they talk on human rights and save the rule of law. Yesterday we see side and pull a press release through the official X handle. Well, on the phone we get the Chief Executive for Chadi, na Abdul Fatoma. Good morning, Mr. Fatoma, and thank you for joining me this morning at the Breakfast Show. Hello, Mr. Fatoma. Mr. Fatoma. Good morning. Good morning.
Thanks for having me. And it's always a pleasure for joining on Liberty TV Online.
All right. Thank you. We have a pleasure for always get you now with various programs them. As I don't tell we viewers them this morning, on the 1st of December, the Chief Justice be issue out legal direction them where it say na forfeit the production and self-distribution of illegal substances them. And before that, His Excellency being released 5 additional measures them. And immediately where the Chief Justice issue out the measures there, so we see on a recent press release through on a official X handle, also on a serious concern about the new practice direction where the Chief Justice be issue out. On a press release say the new judiciary directive them no match with the 1991 Constitution and several acts of Parliament. What in exactly make una believe say this directive illegal?
Okay, first of all, like you really introduced, we work around rule of law and human rights issue because we organization hold a firm belief that the rule of law is part of our democratic, the neck of our democratic system. So the foundation for the country, rests on the rule of law. So when we say that now, we clearly believe that say unlawful restriction of judges, then discretion, by the mandate of the High Court trial, denying them for let them go narrowly consider 30 years minimum from a directive, not a serious threat, to the constitutional provisions and also the liberty which judges then get for be answerable only to the constitution of this country and all the laws of this country, not a directive or individual emotion or individual feelings. And we get already laws and we set out the parameters. If you call for speedily trial, we will know say we'll get delay in with trial proceedings. Yes, we go agree, we go there in support because we organization are a victim. We don't spend more than 1 year they wait for a judgment. We get people that we don't file complaint to the Chief Justice too. We don't wait for 17 years. We don't wait for 15 years. We don't wait for 6 years. We don't wait for 7 years. We don't wait for 10 years. It get them complain the day before. So if we really say we now want a speedily trial now with judiciary, it will be a welcoming idea, a celebrating idea to organization because these are things that will be known to push for. But coming in with a directive, imagine if you did in possession with a drug, and then because the drug-related thing, when they find you guilty, you forgo 30 years. Already, we get more than 2,000% of people that we there now with detention facilities and with prison facility across the country above the number where it require. These data self before the U.S. Embassy release her, before Human Rights Commission release her, the Ministry of Justice, the AG's office, and then self release her in 2023. So then it gets huge security implication. Imagine, among we they do police monitoring and court monitoring as well. The number of young people then at this country, where they within the age of 18 to 35. Now then they in the highest number in possession of drug, in this country. Then you get over 300 or 500 of them one and day. For 30 years, it gets a serious security implication. It also gets serious economic implication. We get a correctional service system, we say, we for do correction that more of punitive. But then it is a minimum, just in possession. But also the law way we get on the control of drugs, 2008, it also talked about, limitation for false offenders. Also, the minimum of 5 years.
So
even they go suspend sentences if you need rehabilitation, medical treatment. But this directive now, they clearly tell you that say the minimum way for give that person 30 years.
Mr. Fatoma,
Yes, please.
The National Drug Control Act of 2008, we just make mention of Section 7 and 14 of this particular act don't already cover sentencing for drug offenses. Why Chadi feels say the judiciary they override clear legal provision them where parliament don't pass?
And the issue of that said, and they give a direct mandate. The law already the way judges them for follow, but then can with their own directive them or take away, the judges them for let them not follow. So it's more about creating confusion, nothing new. Than most of the things that we put they're not absolutely new. So for we, it will totally be unnecessary for put some of them. If you come say we want a speedily trial, we want a weekend trials, that is a welcome news. But for example, way back in October, they make an announcement, a public notice, say they not assign 7 judges and magistrates them. We now get for the sit down on Saturdays. Since then to today, we not see any of the reports say they don't sit down on Saturday. In fact, it give a public notice directing 7 judges according to that release, that document. But now, after a month later, then 7 judges, if they don't sit down, now it can give them directive as how they for work. These are inconsistent. These clearly show ineffectiveness, unprepared judiciary, where a hazardous for this country. We life and hope. We hope and life for everything like this country hang on the judiciary. If anybody trespass you, the only hope where you get within the law that for go to the judiciary. If anybody will lock you, they do business with her. The only hope where you get for recover your money that for go to the judiciary. If anybody harm you, the only hope where you get for gain redress that for go to the judiciary. But if the judiciary appear as a traffic light that they can on and off in yellow, red, green, like a disaster for this country. It's not new to we. Because the TRC report, whenever we talk about justice issue in this country, we go back to the TRC report. We want the judiciary for be like incompetent at the sub-region. Let them get a strategic development plan. The lack of strategic development plan don't put this judiciary into disarray. They just do things the way they want. We get the committee.
Yes, you earlier on mentioned issue we get for do with the 30 years minimum sentence, where according to you, say this will pose a threat to serious security implication. For the sake of viewers who watch this morning, how that will create implication in terms of security?
Okay, look, if the like your colleague say, Section 7, right, and also 8 to 14, then talks about when the minimum sentences of 5 years and suspended sentences for first-time offenders. But now, when you read that directive, anybody with them found guilty of drug-related issue, the minimum now from that directive are 30 years. So imagine that them catching possession with just one time, a unlawful holiday, even in possession with whatever small amount of quantity. They don't need for big amount. Even the small amount, then catch now you earn. Right? You they go for 30 good years. Imagine now, way before the minute give 5 year, 10 year, or people the way they know say based on the evidence before the judge, they look at and say this person here be need rehab, then take advantage over them, and several other factors then come into play. So that judge they decide say no, they suspend this sentence, this person need for rehab, this need for be done, or this I look to say vulnerable, and they give 5 years.
Chadi also they raise.
Hold on. So that no get for happen based on that directive straight away. Now 30 years, the minimum 30, and then We get the last time I checked, 3 weeks ago, we get 55 cases pending on Kush-related issues, apart from the heavy raid that we become. So with these multiple raids the way police don't do and multiple arrests them, currently they feed around 200 to 300, people them. So with that kind of thing, you gather up to 500 people there. Nobody know they below 10 years in prison. They're all not 30 years. The long time we keep these people, the more money we keep keep giving them, and then again, if the national security this thing they know clearly say this get a serious security implication in as much as the economic implication.
Mr. Fatoma, Chadi mentioned, say, the Chief Justice in legal direction them, go force judge them for take instruction when not they inside any law. How dangerous then kind precedent there also be for salon judicial independence?
It's not dangerous, but this is not new. Like I say, even a recent public notice with them in pool with them say they don't direct judges, 7 judges them for sit down, a magistrate there up to weekend, and then now they even pull the directive like I give you job na Liberty TV as a presenter, then you don't begin work. Now after you don't begin work for 1 month or 2 months, they bring you job description. Then this now for follow. So you know the implications of that. You don't manage a station now. You clearly know the implications. You know they employ anybody under for be an admin or finance person. After you don't gather receipt for you, you don't make budget. Then after 2 months, you bring out now like your own job description. This so you for follow this work here I give you. So for me, the judiciary they in the blink of sinking. And with that, we should be worried as a country. We've been done to raise this issue, but we therefore now send a formal letter to the president. But let him really look into the judiciary. We've been on raise that with the president, and we correspondence them. We will raise another concern again based on this very issue we don't come to light and the inconsistency of the judiciary. We are 100% in support of government for the zero tolerance of drugs in this country. We want it to be done fairly. We want it to be done honestly, in all sincerity, within the laws of this country and with a human rights framework. Anything other than that, we vehemently oppose them and we vehemently challenge them in a legal channel in this country.
You just allude say una self na Chadi then support on the fight against drugs na the country, and the way you talk to some other school of thoughts, then go argue say the judiciary just they try for respond to the drug crisis where they go na the country. Why una feel say this particular approach, quote and unquote, na just headline grabbing and not so sustainable legal solution there, Mr. Fatoma?
No, because one, we don't actually get that capacity for let we set aside 7 judges extra, or neither put judges there on standby on Saturday for just this. The number of judges the way we get a magistrate, then they're so small to even the caseload the way we get at this country. The judiciary need, for be honest, to the people of this country. The government have not been serious for let we actually promote access to justice in this country. If you look at the current budget allocation to the judiciary, a low below expectation for let we get even a speedily trial, let we get them the actual human resource capacity, let we get them the actual equipment them for let them actually, even reduce. And this are the judiciary where they receive money from UNDP, then they go prison, then say then they decongest. And now the initiative with the non-pool, now for more overcrowd with judiciary. Imagine they take one jabata in your hand, you're going for 30 years more. And we say we get correctional service. These are a punitive actions. We want people there for no say Salona is zero ground for drugs. But we for do based on what capacity. Now look the cell capacity that what we get. You're gonna we police them, they're overcrowded. You're gonna we prison detention facilities, they're 200% overcrowded. When you look at the judiciary, anytime we organization where they feel say opposed to them bad doings them, who the press release, then they put out a fanciful, provocative things them. Right? When they talk about a serious issue, they talk about guarding, they talk about, we come, assign 7 judges there, and then they don't respond to that. I asked a simple question on my Facebook. Would I get the report of the cases the way they don't sit on Saturdays? And mind you, this man, the Chief Justice, don't make the announcement with the immediate that this thing will start. Till that time to now they pull practice direction. Nobody know. We, naturally, know they're against the practice direction. The content and the elements then in that. Some of them now we get issues with or fight that. So we don't need much confusion in this country on their issues there. We just need sincerity and honesty. Any dishonest approach, counterproductive to this country's sustainable development.
So, Fatoma, if I can ask, if you watch from the release on a pull out from Chadi, I just want to extract something the way they talk about emotional feelings, not for guide the judiciary. You can able to elaborate on that?
I mean, law itself, they practice law with emotional feeling because the law, the judge or the magistrate are bound by 2 things. 1, the fact before them. 2, the law. So you don't for the emotion. Any judge will get emotional feeling or magistrate or a lawyer, he already biased to that case. So meaning fairness not there.
All right.
And one of the public service commodity where the judiciary need for serve the people of any country, Israeli in particular, is equality, and fairness. That is what justice is all about. Justice is not about his feeling, how I feel, or this. But they even see the utterances or judgment of, the judgment from judges, the way they read from the judiciary release, of cases the way judges are not preside over. The utterances from them judges, then they then sound like prosecutors. They don't even sound like a judge. They sound like a prosecutor.
All right, Mr. Fatoma, before you left, we quickly, Una talk about so many things them inside this release where I feel say we don't exhaust. But one of the things them where I want to let you address quickly na the risk where you think say the Chief Justice in direction them go pose especially to the separation of powers doctrine, especially the authority where Parliament gets. Because looking at the release where Una put, Una quote section 76 of the Criminal Procedure Act of 2024, where Una said already give option for bail even if na murder and treason case. Why Una think say the judiciary want introduce rules them where they contradict to waiting parliaments that already pass?
It just come out of disrespect because a clear disrespect. The need for no better than any other institution, because one of the mandates now for interpret the law and uphold the law and also work in separation of power. You get your own terrain and you get your mandate. So interfering directly with the intention to disrespect, disregard, the people of this country through the legislative house. That means, within the Justice Alwembi say in a letter, these are the clear evidence that matching out. And these are the valid concern now that the president needs for act now than ever before, that judiciary need a total reform and they need a check. We, the people, they call in for let the judiciary get a check. We need to get a proper and functionable judiciary. What do we get? A blink of collapse judiciary we get by this country at the moment.
All right, many thanks, Mr. Fatoma. We talked to we this morning for state charity them position on the legal direction them where the Chief Justice been pulled on the 1st of December for direct how the government for fight the drug crisis where the country they battle with right now. Well, we continue on this particular issue before we come to we main story where they look at this morning. I tell Una earlier, apart from Chadi, another organization where been pulled a press release where then self-raise serious concern, but then direction there so where the Chief Justice be issued on the 1st of December. Now the Lawyer Society we make up of lawyers them where they talk on issues them we get for do with the Constitution, the rule of law and human rights. Then self being pull a press release outside and states serious concern them. Well, on the phone for talk on behalf of the Lawyer Society, we get the president with we on the line, Wena Augustine Sorisembe Mara, and the president for Lawyer Society. Good morning, Mr. Mara, and welcome to the Liberty Breakfast Show.
Good morning, Khadija. Happy for the.
All right, the public see yesterday Usauna pull a very strong press release where get for do with the legal direction them where the Chief Justice be issue out on the drug crisis na the country. Why the Lawyer Society believes say the Chief Justice not get the legal power for put out this particular practice direction under the National Drug Control Act of 2008?
Right. Well, let me declare first, say the Lawyer Society supports the fact where government don't declare against drug abuse. And just generally the drug epidemic way that affects communities throughout Salon. And we also don't give a bad name internationally. We believe say this now affect way timely and affect way government for sustain for clearing communities of this epidemic. But we also caution say while government they do that, government officials and branches of government then get for ensure say they work in accordance with the law. So now that make, for example, we will see the practice direction the Chief Justice make. And we want for say we think say the practice direction come up from a very good place. The intentions might have been really excellent, but unfortunately, the practice direction we not see any basis in law. We say that because usually practice directions they are given for let and support rules of procedure. Both side parliament make a law. Usually, if you want pass a what you then call subsidiary legislation, now then they usually do down the two regulations where ministers then can put before parliament. So practice direction pretty much they govern procedure. They can't touch and concern laws with parliament don't pass. And so we'll see the CJ put out that practice direction pursuant to the National Drugs Control Act of 2008. We've been concerned because while we support the fight against the drug epidemic, we also want for the rule of law be respected. And a number of things that the practice direction may contain, we also were cause of for concern for the society.
Una also talk about na the press release where una issue. Una talk says Section 91 give the authority to the Minister of Internal Affairs, not to the Chief Justice. This means say the whole practice illegal, Mr. Mara?
We did not go as far as saying it was illegal. We just say it not be any basis in law. I think that characterization will left for the analysts then. But we believe, say, Section 91, if you want for cover the Chief Justice, if I don't make it expressly clear, say the Chief Justice can make practice direction pursuant to that section. But Parliament never intend for the Chief Justice make practice direction pursuant to the National Drugs Control Act. So the minister ain't get that power there. And by the way, so sometimes in law, even if you get the best of intention, you can get it wrong. But that we don't see with this practice direction, especially, I mean, somebody will want to say, oh, this is needed because now, because of the fight, you want for lead matters, then go to high court, let them give bail to somebody with the accused. But these are fundamental rights, and we get a legal system where they presume even the most atrocious, conduct on out and column, then they presume that person be innocent until the court of law, through proper procedure, come to a conclusion, say that person be guilty, right? So now that situation that we get. So we also want for make sure, say we honor them procedure then they and we expect within the Constitution provide them freedoms, them protection they will give to accused persons as well. So now them concerns and we been highlight in we press release because we want to make sure say there's a fine balance between the fight against the drug epidemic, but also the upholding of constitutional guarantees and freedoms with the Constitution on give to everybody. And then not so because they say they accuse you, it means automatically you lost your right or prisoners then, for example. So everybody, whether you're accused or whether you're a prisoner, you're entitled to their rights today.
The Lawyer Society mentioned issues that we get for do with the rule of law, and also the support government in the fight against kush. As we all know, say kush may don't be an epidemic in the country where plenty of people get concerned about. I just want to ask whether the law provide opportunities for like they able for give certain decisions them where probably not punity decisions them just because that particular drug fights the concern for the people across the country.
Yeah, I think say way back in 2008, remember say 2008, we may get some cocaine incidents. So if the legislators intend say drug business, the punishments for the clear cuts, the punishments for the uniform, irrespective of the degree and size, therefore don't do one. So, but unfortunately, we get a situation in the Drugs Act where, for example, for some offenses, they even get suspended sentences. Right. So if the judiciary they come out with a practice direction, we pretty much they give blanket, sentencing mandates, to for them crimes that they worry. Because then waiting they do, they remove the discretion from the judge. We sit on, they listen the evidence. We they listen to what we call mitigating circumstances. And then now they go by that mandate and that directive. We think say unfair to those who are accused of them because mind you, you can get somebody innocent and flame out. So by this, it means that person will go 30 years, right? We sometimes the judge to look at the evidence and come to a conclusion that this person, even though he sees some involvement or some complicity in the entire enterprise, deserve the 30 years way something maybe the young leaders and deserve. So we think say already the legislation, the National Drugs Control Act sufficient for cater for every situation. And another make me think say the practice direction, however well intentioned it is, being fall short of the standards that the law provide and also the constitutional guarantees. Right, so we know they say this because we're opposed to the fight. We they say this because we want to remind government say the laws of the country should be respected. However, and whatever fight is being undertaken by government.
Mr. Mara, the legal direction then where the Chief Justice be issue out, they push all drug cases go na high courts. Why una believe say this particular decision they broke the law, and what in this mean for fair trial?
Absolutely. So from fair trial, we get situations, we get some offenses the way the Drugs Control Act get. some of those offenses they require you for come before a magistrate. Magistrate go examine the evidence, and then magistrate can come to that conclusion. Say you get case for answer, then they send on a high court. But magistrates also can come to a position where say you not get case for answer. So if you send the person automatically in a high court, there's a presumption say you really don't come to that point already say get case for answer, which is unfair because the idea of them, the idea of the committal proceedings in the magistrate's court are for review the evidence and see whether this case for go high court or this case no get any basis for going to high court at all. So, again, what I go mean if you send all them cases and then a high court without review them at the magistrate's court, it clog the high court system. So the committal proceedings where they review the evidence is intended for like shield and filter the cases where they go to high court, so that the high court is not inundated by cases that were perhaps unnecessary. So you can get a situation where because of this you get boku cases where they cannot court. So you want for filter them. But then also, now the right of the accused person for appear before the magistrate court in some instances where the law provide. If not more if not grave offenses as the Drugs Control Act prescribe, then cases and then they go directly in a high court. We understand that, but not all cases then should go directly to the High Court. They should be reviewed at the Magistrates Court. If that one they will fall within the jurisdiction of the Magistrates Court, then can decide them at the Magistrates Court as well.
Earlier, when you start for talk on the things they want to point out inside on a press release, you make it clear, say the Lawyer Society, they support all efforts of the government for fight against the drug crisis in the country. And when you look at on a press release, una point out certain things them where una believe say una just want for caution in as much as the country they fight this crisis, but then for doing legally according to the rules and laws of the country. Now, on a press release, when I point out say some drug offenses for be tried summarily in lower courts. Does this mean that the Chief Justice they override the Parliament?
Sadly, I cannot disagree with you with that characterization there. And again, like I say, you can get instances where, somebody want for do good, but you do in a manner that is wrong, right? So I would think that this situation, maybe the Chief Justice, like every other Sierra Leonean, very, very, very displeased about what's in the go on with society. So you want for act tough. But you want for act tough, unfortunately, then tough actions and they fall outside the confines of the law. So really encourage them to revise this. The Minister for Internal Affairs, by the way, a lawyer as well, he can put really good regulations in together and put in a parliament so that parliament will get the power to review the regulations and then pass them. And this reminds me what happened in COVID. COVID, again, at the same thing, where governments been go hurriedly past them measures then they without them not putting a parliament. And I remember I took on the Attorney General then, and say, no, you don't get power for past COVID measures, put in a parliament. Then begin argue first, after some time, I see Mr. Brewer then be end up for can go to parliament. Again, I think, say, government, not for the acting haste. Government officials are not for the acting haste and for ensure say them do things away correct and they in accordance with the law. Because government get for sets the finest and the brightest example across all spheres of society. And I don't would encourage the Chief Justice for do in this instance. However, well-intentioned, I reiterate, their measures and the then directions for be compliant with the law. If they're not comply with the law, it means they then get for infringe fundamental rights of even people that were accused of then grave offenses there.
Mr. Mara, quickly, before we left you and come to we other studio guests them, let me talk about bail. We wanna talk about, say, the direction make all drug matters non-bailable. Why una call this say na threats to justice and proportionality?
Okay, Khadija, let me make this clear. I think the judiciary of Sierra Leone don't spend boku money, and I know say also international partners don't spend boku money on the judiciary on the issue of bail. So if you go to places and you see bail is free, prisoners have a right to bail, yada yada. And I think say any tendency how they happen, we see. For example, even the sexual offences model court, at some point, a past chief justice, they also put out a notice for say or a directive to judges not for give bail for sexual offences. So similarly, we also don't see this as well. That encouragement to benchers for consider bail, or bail can only be given by the High Court. So at one point the judiciary, they say bail is a fundamental right, but some other points they also then sentiment and then directives they run contrary or basically at variance with within a non-talk and all the resources where they don't deploy on bail. Bail is fundamental. It's fundamental because of two things. One, the right way the Constitution recognize, and even the Criminal Procedure Act is sent to and also recognize. But also, the reality is we don't get a prison system. So imagine somebody we know guilty, innocent. You run and through that prison system, get bail. 2-3 years after in trial, if you're not innocent, by the time that person they come out rehabilitated, they come out battered and beaten and affected by them lack of humane condition. So that make always, and we think say this always rush by the judiciary for some offenses, bail will not be considered. Then for stop that one.
Finally, finally, Mr. Mara, una call on the Chief Justice for. Hello, Mr. Mara.
Hello.
Yes, Mr. Mara, finally, una call on the Chief Justice for revise and review the legal direction there. So, if the Chief Justice not do what are the next action where una ready for take as a law society where they defend the rule of law?
I lost you entirely.
All right, I mean, they ask the question, say, finally, una call on the Chief Justice for review and revise the legal direction there. If the Chief Justice fail for review or revise them, whose other action where una ready for take as a body where they for defend the rule of law?
Well, Khadija, once we put this information out there, me know lawyers way. If, for example, a particular judge want for reference a practice direction, they might raise some of them legal issues that we would raise concerning the practice direction. So what we can do usually now for give resources to members them for take objection to the use of a practice direction, any basis in law. Right? And when they happen, once you get one or two judges them way, then point out to them, say there was no basis for this. Then we expect them to take the appropriate action. Yes, but I believe say the Chief Justice done like every other person don't read the press release. And I'm very, very sure that he and perhaps the Attorney General go hang it and see how they cable for, do the right thing.
All right, many thanks. So you talk to Augustine Sembemara, the president for Lawyers Society. Well, that's na issue we get for do with the legal direction them where the Chief Justice been issued out on the 1st of December. Also, he talk about the fight against the drug crisis in the country. And if people can remember, President Biosef, this BNTM, been make 5 additional directive them we add to waiting a bidon pool because for the country they under drug crisis, and this after where the president bidon pool then directive there we see outside the Chief Justice in self be issue out legal direction them, but don't they see usai civil society organization them where they fight for protect the rule of law. They question the legality where the Chief Justice gets for pull them particular legal direction there. So and they just listen to the president for the Lawyer Society, we end by saying then they ask the Chief Justice for let it go review or revise some of them legal direction there because it say that go override the powers of the Parliament. Well, as always, Liberty TV, we like for bring all sides to the story. Of course, we not get the power for talk to the Chief Justice, but the judiciary gets somebody where they talk for them, and the judiciary then spokesman quickly there with we on the phone, Moses Kamara, where go can address all of them concerned there. So we come out from the Lawyer Society and Sef Abdul Fatoma of Chadi. Good morning, Mr. Moses Kamara, and welcome to the Liberty Breakfast Show. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, good morning, Kajisha.
I believe so. You don't see a press release we come out yesterday from the Lawyer Society and Sef Chadi, where they talk about the Chief Justice not get the legal power for issue the legal practice direction them under the National Drug Control Act of 2008. Firstly, how you go respond to then two body there, so where they question the Chief Justice illegal powers, where you get for issue legal direction them?
Well, actually, I don't want to limit the view of the judiciary into then two press releases a day. Because from yesterday to today, we've got a lot of press releases that will be issued out by various institutions, various organizations. We've seen it like talk by various people then, some the support and some need the support, but I would say majority support the action. And even when I been talk just now to Mr. Mara, I was watching the comments, and the comments you feel say so many people then support the action. Notwithstanding that, we want let people understand, say, the practice direction is not an illegal act. Let me make our so first clear that the practice direction is not an illegal right. It is a legal right given to the Chief Justice for ensuring it address issues of national concern. And this is not the first time. It was done on the issue of rape, and we see the impact where it creates. Now, we need to see rape and sexual penetration as it was rampant before. You understand? Now we get the issue of drugs, and we know how the issue of drugs don't ravage with society, how it don't put we use them then, I don't destroy life and properties, I don't make family, they don't become unhappy. And if we see government commitment in the fight against that, just like Mr. Maya said, it's everybody concerned. You see? So it's like, why the practice direction is not illegal. It's not illegal, and also backed by the intention of the Honorable Chief Justice for ensuring, I am at those seats and let us fight, let me give you support. When we watch at the press release, let's forget about the issue of bail. There are certain times the provision are there, people that they cannot court, but evidence can make them not to grant you bail for the entire trial. You understand? If the evidence they point at you, they're not granted for the entire trial. So let's put it aside in the first place. The other thing we want to let people know is that the issue of drugs, it falls under an offense what we call illegal possession. So they're not there for asking why you owe them. The moment they catch you with them, obviously an offense has been committed. Now for justify, was this in his possession? So that is why most of them, when they can court, you find out say that they plead guilty. But besides the aspect of bail, which is stated that bail should not be granted, there is a provision also on the practice direction, which says any matter will come before the court on the issue of drugs. Therefore, ensure say people then, the judges, the judiciary, try expeditiously. And the highest authority in the judiciary is the Chief Justice. And once the Chief Justice has given an order, every judge they go through them. You understand? So with the ensure expeditious trial, a very, very waiting step. Because cases are there by the time the cases that we don't witness, we don't deal with.
By the time they say 3, 4, 5 days, 1 week, they don't know with the matter. So you see, so in short situation, you're not going to say bail is relevant. Because at the end of the day, in 1, 2 weeks, you don't determine whether the person is guilty or not based on evidence. So we have to look at the way at which we don't try cases there expeditiously for justify the aspect of bail. But let us also look at it with those situation also with a grant bail for people then, Khadija. With a grant bail, with good intent grant bail from the district, we say, okay, for the fact that you seek, let us grant you bail on those issues. Then people then are not show up again.
Moses, the practice direction try for fixed mandatory sentences. This now one way lawyer society they won't say this they weaken the judicial independence. How you going to explain this?
Well, if you say judicial independent, when you talk about judicial independent, it is wherein the act, the decision of the judge or the case is subjected by law. I've said the practice direction is not an illegal process. It is not illegal. You understand? That is one. Then the act itself not tell you, say, you need a sentence, custodial sentence. It say a minimum of 5 years. You understand? So if the practice direction they give say a minimum of 30 years, it is because it's an emergent issue. Now let us say sentencing somebody, Khadija. Let's put it this way, and to our listeners then, sentencing somebody for 30 years and let that person or sentence them for 5 years, 6 years, where if the person come out, the person get the tendency or push that person down on bail, the person get the tendency for operate, the syndicate where they operate, and destroy the life of promising young people then to 10, 15, 20 people then. Which one we great? You see, there are certain times when we talk about this human rights, you understand? At times you ignore it for the greater good. We've seen in this country during the war because we wanted peace. We say no, blanket amnesty is given to certain people. Because we wanted peace. Because at that time we know that peace is greater than the law. It's just like when we say there are certain times mercy is greater than justice.
Okay.
So there are certain situations where we put together, we look at the situation. Can you say I'm a parent? I get one picking. When I left now also for can work, the picking in at school. Nowhere I said. We see the conviction when we give them this there. So a woman they sell cold water. But underneath it now, push in the center with picking them. I think one of the safest sites for with picking them at the school. Now, Prince of Wales. And that woman was sentenced to 30 years imprisonment. We've seen those situations. We've seen situations. Look one more they talk about in case na TikTok under this one guy they call it or whatever. The moment they say, in they go buy push to this woman. This woman pull a brother offline for her help and sell push. So mistakenly, this mobile, whether I know what's in a push or not, they say that they have one pack, let they smoke. When the woman can mix that in brother, then they smoke that push day. And beat and say a rub in not that gum. The mobile say, when they smoke, I say, this is what the brother.
Moses, there are concerns we come out from the lawyer society and that of the of Chadi. Don't you think says then concerns and the judiciary need for work on certain concerns that we come out from the two institutions then they?
The judiciary need to ignore any concerns, affirmative or negative. We need to ignore them. We need to ignore them. The leadership of the judiciary is always open up to their concerns today. And we want to also make for understand, say, the world no say, the nation no say, the Honorable Chief Justice Kamada, are one of the pioneers of the bail regulation. You understand? But in a situation, we are in the fight against kush. We see every day up picking they die, boy picking they die out of kush. You see, and in fact, it gets a lot of impact.
All right.
When they get they say that they pick 120 body every day, when they see them as streets, how their life day, it's worrisome. So there are certain times we need to understand. We look at the greater good. You understand? What will this help us to be?
Quickly, Moses. finally, the judiciary go review them particular direction they are based on feedback, or the judiciary go stand by the direction them?
We've said every concern is considered. Every concern is considered with the way the concerns them. Like for right now, you go down a comment section, you the final say, nearly 90% of the comments there, they're in support of the decision taken by the Honorable Chief Justice. You see, there are certain times I've said there are certain times when issues of national concern they come in conflict with certain things. The issues for fight the issues, they are very, very important. When COVID come, they say church for worship. We see they say no, una no need to go to church. Because the situation by then warrants and one of the weapons there for use for fight against that. So we want to talk to other institutions and organizations. Let them understand. In fact, we they treat the church we a lot. When they see them, let them understand, say, fighting this push, let we all come together and look at the intent and let us fight it. Kajisha.
All right. Many thanks, Moses, where you join with this morning for response to the different concern them we don't come out from the Lawyer Society and that of Chadi for Seka, the legal direction them where the Chief Justice be issue on the fight against the drug crisis in the country. Well, in case you just did tune in, this is the breakfast show where they come to you live from Liberty Online TV. We start with a very important legal issue. Usai, the Lawyer Society, they question the Chief Justice in powers for release the legal direction there and that of Chadi. Well, they can out to we major headline story inside this edition of the breakfast show, and we studio guests them don't join we in at the studio this morning. As today we they can unpack the 2026 budget where the Minister of Finance Sheku Fantamadi Bangura be read last week Friday na the Well of Parliament. And as I tell you earlier, na a practice say every year before the budget gonna Parliament, the Minister of Finance with experts and at the Ministry of Finance, they also work with the experts them na the National Revenue Authority, USAID, then they put a document where they can call the Finance Act. This act now in the inform the area them USAID government want for generate the money where they go use for spend on the areas there where they put inside the budget. Immediately after this particular Finance Act gonna Parliament, the minister can go the budget where it go to member of parliament them. And the 2026 budget, the minister Timam say now enhancing domestic revenue mobilization for better service delivery. Well, this morning we get the experts them with we now the studio. We get Abubakar Kamara, we now the national coordinator for Budget Advocacy Network, a network of civil society organization them where they work around budget issues, they work around fiscal discipline, they work around accountability and transparency. Then they do various research and then they pull reports them for talk on how government accountable, especially on the spending and public funds. Good morning, Mr. Kamara.
Good morning.
It's been a while.
Good morning, Debati, and congratulations to this new office. I think the first is what they
yes.
Since they don't move now.
Yes. Thank you very much, and a pleasure for get you this morning. And also we get we ever read the journalist and social commentator Thomas Dixson. Well, if you don't follow Thomas Dixson, you go know say himself don't get a wealth of experience on budget issues, because for a very long time as a journalist, he don't report on figures, he don't report on budget, he don't report on World Bank reports them, Waking come out the IMF reports them. So now one of the people in this morning where we get for can unpack the 2026 Budget and Finance Act, where the government say they want for generate revenue for spend na different areas them. Good morning, Thomas, and welcome again.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
All right, well, now with two strong voices and Dande, where they can talk on accountability, and also they broke down the figures this morning, the tax them and the real impact that the ordinary citizen in their life. But before we come to with two guests them, let I just give a brief summary for the benefit of viewers them where might not only read the 2026 budget, we also get a theme say raise more revenue for better service delivery. The government inside this particular budget then say inflation don't drop to 4.4%, exchange rate stable, but debt still high, when 3.2 billion US dollar. That the revenue side government say they want raise about 17.9 billion new loans, mostly through new tax measures them, and also then bring back corporate income tax will go from 25% to 30%. Of course, fuel, cigarettes, cement, and tax then put her up, and more import duty pan tomatoes, egg, plywood, bottled water, butter bouncer, and more withholding tax pan foreign company them. Well, this is not just a summary of the budget for create a context for Udano opportunity for read this particular budget. We they can now to you, Mr. Kamara, ban and Ministry of Finance, year in, year out, una don dey report on the budget, una don dey raise alarm on tax exemption, una don dey talk about the money where government they lost, na different side them. So now government say they hope for raise 17.9 billion new loans through domestic revenue for 2026.
I think, Daniel, just a small correction there.
Yeah.
Now 2025, 2026. Now 22.2
Okay,
billion.
22.2, sorry. And ban always done the talk, say the government for able for raise more. And now we don't dey see some slight increase according to waiting the minister go present na parliament. How you go assess first this particular budget where the minister go with on Friday?
I mean, 2026 budget, not just like any other budget. I mean, if you look at generally, not just like any other budget in terms of the allocation stem, in terms of the area where they spend, in terms of how they intend for generate tax. For us, not just few areas that we see government tie for backdrop small. Number one, now like the overall expenditure. If I not lie, it's been a while for like you see the same, almost the same budgets, the same expenditure government be proposed for spend 2025. Now almost at the same back, they don't propose 2026. Even though we see the projected revenue increase from 17 billion to around 22. So to me, that only tell you say government don't begin reduce some of in expenditure there. And we also see generally a reduction in the deficit, because normally the deficit can generally high, but generally not just like any other budget in terms of almost most of the budget line and the budget spending then. And so of course you get the area where as government put out the term in terms of providing basic services for people, looking at social protection, looking at issues around health and education. So it's around the same thing, focusing on addressing the same problem, though in some instances then we see the same problem then they exist. So to me, the budget in, budget out is one aspect, but the major focus is...
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, in this context, the specific objective of the budget are to 1, improve domestic revenue mobilization through tax measures that are pro-poor and pro-business. We will leverage on domestic financing sources.
To 60% of those things they already intend to do, it will be very fantastic. I know I've read this year, I've read almost 5, 6, 7 years budget back. And when you read the budget, you go, what's in the day? If really we don't implement anything in there, by now we're down there at another level as a country. Because there are good pronouncements, good policies, good projects for fun. But then at the end of the year, much of it, people really see them in terms of what government don't really achieve around the budget. So for me, generally, it's not different. It's just like any other budget we government on the table in the parliament.
So like where they say we want to make a comparison on the 2025 budget and the 2026. Like you mentioned, say is something like the same, much more difference not there. You think say no progress not in terms of revenue mobilization, revenue collection? Is there any different from 2025 and 2026?
We see the revenue projection don't increase. It come out from 17 to 22. So that means say that around 5 billion, with 5 trillion. So now that means say there is a revenue potential. Although of course we still as a country able meet with revenue potential yet in terms of what we intend for generate. But of course it don't show say government they make efforts for generate more revenue, and we see the assumption around that projection that when the Finance Act will get a lot of provisions them around how to generate that extra resources there.
All right, so we come to you, Thomas Dixon. Like I tell the viewers them earlier, you na a journalist we don't cover budget issues them for a very long time. And looking at the Minister of Finance, Sheikh Ahmed Fantamadi, we be they read the budget na parliament. He say inflation don't drop the lowest for 20 years. But when you look at how things they go on at the country, people still they complain for better life. People still they complain, say cost of living very, very expensive. From waiting you they see reality on the ground as a journalist. Would that correct? The statistics where the minister they talk about or not the people them?
Thank you very much. First of all, I think say by the theme of the budget, it clearly depicts a government they in desperation for its revenue. Maybe for fuel, government expenses, and the budget also saying a poor people and saying a poor people budget. But we see a situation where in taxes in which we refer to as political commodities go increase, like fuel, like cement. We therefore note say in our country, the people that would bill us more, not the one that would not the middle income level, now the bills, and they buy cement, which means by these taxes, actually they are not new for cement. Then we don't then suspend them, then they implement them now. We go to therefore affect the price of cement in our country. And we see a lot of taxes on imported goods, eggs. We all know the rationale behind that. Government want for people focus on made in Sierra Leone product. But if you look at the number of eggs that they produce, enough for we market. So we therefore see eggs, for example, go up in the markets by next year. Now coming to your question that on paper, inflation don't reduce. Yes, on paper, inflation don't reduce. In reality, we know they feel the impact. I can always give a comparison between Sierra Leone and Ghana. In Ghana, inflation reduce to a single digit themselves. They may get high inflation the past 2-3 years. I think almost like 40% of almost going to 50%. But inflation begin reduce from last year and now themselves get a single digit. But in their own case, how inflation they reduce, they don't have what you go say stagnant exchange rate. Like we now inflation don't reduce, they reduce every month from in 2024. Every month inflation may reduce, but exchange rate remains stagnant. In Ghana, inflation has been reducing. Exchange rates they reduce drastically, they can down every month. At the same time, the cost of living they reduce. In our case, not to the situation. Exchange rate is stagnated, inflation reduced on paper. So when you go to the man out there, the layman out there, they go tell you, say, may not feel the impact of this inflation. Yes, we see government make measures for enforce certain rules for reduce the prices of rice. But normally it can be fine for naturally price reduce for itself. In a free market economy, finally naturally price reduce for itself than government enforce some regulation for reduced price. That not to say it bad, But when price reduce for itself, it affect everybody in pocket. But as you question, you put them, I go tell you, say inflation has been reducing on paper. Yes, all international indicators report don't give fact, don't justify that fact. But however, waiting they make inflation translated into reality in the growth. Growth has been slow, particularly in the later part of 2025. So that I believe say that they affect the reality of, for let people feel this depreciation or this deflation in the economy, and for let them feel them in them pots, in them pocket, and them purses.
So, Dixon, one thing the way is on the way being spark debate now the way of Parliament. Now the area we get for do with the price of cement, we tax don't go up on cement and that of fuel. But according to the minister, he say then go implement pricing formula will not go affect the price where people get for buy a bag of cement. You think say that's applicable?
You know, the minister asked about this on rise. The 2025 let me put it and go in fence that money. And then that money then go in cultural stuff. They make the roads easy to market area. But the minister up till now not tell we almost said ring fence, for example. So most times when they can make them promises, then they say it's a political statement. We wait for them to see it happen. But based on my own interaction with the Minister of Finance, we been tell we say the first time because that was they call a special press conference. That. And then even when you look at the budget speech we give, feed salon, yes, don't get some impact, but we are still spending about $15 million on importation of food. So which means we need to do more. We need to do much more on feed salon for reduce that particular figures there. So for me, I think say even if government will out pricing formula for cement, there will definitely be some increase because the 10%. Mark you the people who they want where they count cement and they come out and can make losses and they count and for make profits. Apart from other tax, apart from the 10% tax when they pay, they also get for pay corporate income tax, their companies, they also get for pay workers, they also get for pay nurses, so all of them, and get for factor them into the price for layer, and that could definitely see an increase in price. I also see according to the Ministry of maybe Financial Sector, the reason for taxes on foreign water. Nah, because of the one for there, we own local water company there. But we already see the blossom of we own local water company them, the craft team, the other companies, waters and so on and so forth. We see how they go, and me know they see much more of people in the drink foreign water. So maybe perhaps them hotel they can buy them, but around it, then we see decrease. They say then decrease and remove taxes on renewable energy like a solar, like a gas. So when you look at that, from my own perspective, the amount of people where they use gas now in the country very low. Perhaps that is a motivation for let people begin for use gas. But it's not just removal of taxes on gas or renewable energy go make people begin use that. You get a lot of public education we get for do for make people see the reason for using, because majority of Sierra Leoneans, even in Freetown, they use charcoal and they use wood. Maybe perhaps the elite in Freetown and the middle class, and then they use few of the middle class, they use gas and other things. In terms of solar, I think household number of offices and very few households that they use solar. So I think if government wants for the people and go towards that direction, it's not just about removing taxes on them. It's about also engaging public education, massive public about the use of renewable energy and the whole idea of climate change. And I also believe, say, the reason for remove these taxes on this renewable energy stuff is to access international fund. You know, you get this climate change financing at the world where they now. So there are certain things, conditions, and they already give government. So I think this would also give the government some access, so or some ways for unlock some climate financing or some global climate money with this some side.
All right, let me come out to you again, Bakar. Listening to the Minister of Finance, where he be dey read the budget na Parliament, he talk about some tax them, just the exemption where they don't restore back for raise more money. And ban always done the talk on the area of the exemption. You say they know they favor the poor people them, the poor man them. Wetin una think say can normally go wrong in the system?
The case of exemption, to me, I not see much action where government take with all the high-level political statements they make. If we recall in the policy hearing, the Minister of Finance talked extensively how this exemption they affect revenue. The Honorable Vice President also again talked extensively around rationalizing this exemption. But unfortunately, when we see the budget, like complete two different things, which they say at the policy hearing and which they put in black and white. So for we at BAN, we really somehow frustrated about the link between policy pronouncements and really putting it into practice by putting it in either the Finance Act or the budget speech. Because if you look at the resources, the revenue forgone from tax exemptions, from the study we do, just for 2023, now 3.6 billion, whereby then that amount is 35% of the domestic revenue. And these are the big things that we government really need for tackle, which have a huge potential for generate resources. Not to other areas then where they really affect citizens them in one way or the other. So on exemptions, generally, unless you know we are hard fact policy or statement we government make in terms of we are addressing. And the issues they're huge there. Quite recently, we do a report we call Eating Twice. We look at the institution there for the industry sector where they benefit from exemptions. So apart from the revenue forgone from them exemption there, those institutions, they also some of them, they also need to pay them taxes then would not exempt. So that they eat the state twice. Benefit from the exemption, the tax holder for pay, they need to pay them. These are all real issues them will need for be addressed by government. So in relation to the few GST exemption and where them put na the Finance Act, yeah, would they in support of them in terms of the cooking gas. The whole thing is we hope the price of those commodities will go down. Because there are two tax systems where they exempt them for. So the import duties, zero import duties, zero GST. When a huge result, almost close to 30%. So they also expect, say, there is a modality in place for ensure, say, the prices of those gases then go down. The same thing for then solar energy then. The solar household product them. Because if government pull then give them the exemption in there, then the price still remain the same or it go up, then it's needless. Then it means it's putting more money on the business people rather than on the people of Sierra Leone. On the one on water, this is where we get issues. As a network, not only as BAN, but also WashNet, Focus 1000, another organization them. You know, we get the context. The context in Sierra Leone is we get serious challenge in accessing water. Very serious challenge. The 2025 report clearly shows it. Only 23% of the people in Salone can get access to clean drinking water. And clean drinking water now one of the most effective health prevention. Because when they drink clean water, it is preventing for so many diseases them. Typhoid and a whole lot of things then. So it doesn't mean that because resources are for tax, government for good tax day. Not to all area then where resources for tax, government for tax. In the case of water, now an essential goods. And besides, the money what government is spend in addressing water-related disease them is far much bigger than the revenue, than the tax we government impose on bottled water. And then bounds are there. The reason why I call bounds are because bounds are fall under commercial use. Because the laws now say bottled water, commercial use, industrial use, high-end use of them, they begin pay GST for the water use. And we are concerned now on two. The bottled water, where they refer to now as high-end user, and we not agree to that particular assumption that you they drink bottled water, that means in a money man or in a having man. No, it will not for which that stage they follow take water as the high-end user.
Yeah, because people get a perception about the number of people we they buy bottled water and all.
Let me tell you, we they travel a number of people they buy bottled water. In fact, now condition make even the less need to go to that bottled water. And also, we also get the fact of the matter is that there is a distrust between the public and Guma. People need to drink Guma water again, no longer. The first people they drink Guma water, they want to pump the boot to drink. That confidence is done lost. And Guma neighbor supply water all sided. Government are aware about that. We see a lot of communities them. Government go put miller tanks them for the people to access water. And what are they buy their water then they? Now the community now then they go pay small. So it means now the community go for can begin pay more for buy the water than they. What they increase the out of pocket expenditure of water for them people than they. And for we on suggested that in terms of water, government policy for geared towards reducing the cost of domestic and clean drinking water by whatever means. For a number of reasons. Number one, the access is low. If access low, then the government not got the ability right now for providing water on all the areas then. Then you can increase the cost on people. So that particular policy there, now a real unprogressive policy. Now a medically dangerous policy. If I what it is to do, it is time for create more inequality between the various sets of people. So for we want to see a policy with the gear towards reducing the cost of that bottled water so that at least most people will get the appetite for buy that bottled water. We know the whole discussion around sachet water when a government argument say, well, we need to tax sachet water. Even when government need to tax sachet water, we don't see, if you go to hospital right now, majority of the illness there, na typhoid. And what they call typhoid, now dirty related something them. So government policy for geared towards pushing people for drink more pure water and how for do that they for ensure say the cost of accessing the most pure water is reduced. Not the other way around for increase the cost of accessing pure water.
Quickly, before I can to Dixon, since you did talk on now areas them outside government increase tax, excise duty and petrol and diesel they go up, and government say they hope for raise some money at this particular area. But ban believes say this go push price go up, and how una see the impact on inflation?
You know, current inflation now two major factors they don't bring and can down. You know, what do statistics go and call the weighting, the value of the week. Now the rise and fail. Imagine what the influence of the mention at the rate of change. So if the price remain constant, the rate of change they go down. Now the two major factors are in there. If you are listening in the market, most other things then do not come down. Now all of the rise and fuel. In relation to the excise duty on them petroleum products, them, I be listening to the arguments na parliament. They have the assumption that the fuel price no go up, but of course we don't begin to see the narrative don't begin to change. That it's possibility for let fuel price go up, and definitely when fuel price go up, almost everything back there for go up because fuel na a composite commodity way they link to every other products. Of course, government argument is that, of course, now one of the most predictable way of generating revenue. But we also go for look at the welfare of the people then. How do we try to get those sort of balance in terms of generating revenue, but also ensuring that people's welfare is actually being catered for? Because if you're not able to get the balance, then the one and more they suffer are the people of Sierra Leone. And mind you, the salaries then still remain the same.
So the
minimum wage still remain the same.
What the minister put for this budget realistic?
You know, if you look at from different perspectives, and based on the category of people and who would refer to as poor. Because even when I look at the budget, I look at the resources we then provide for then social protection, then cash transfer, then this. In fact, the cash transfer from Mr. Tix who gets almost 3 million people are them poor. And the money we then put now for just 3.2% of that population. So which means we are still far from addressing majority of the people and we poor. If you look at in terms of generally the people of Sierra Leone, if the fuel price go up, definitely it will be difficult for justify that it's a poor budget because absolutely majority of the other things then will go up with a great more burden on the citizens. If you look at in the area of, for example, I'm talking about the stove and the solar, yeah, some people can go benefit, but in real terms, one of the commodities in which government for really try for ensure say it really not go up. Otherwise, it go erode all of the gains then what it was about poor na the fuel. Once fuel go up, absolutely it is difficult for say that particular budget na a proper budget because it will create serious burden, serious hardship on the people of Sierra Leone.
All right, Dixon, looking at the stability on the exchange rates, you go notice say it only move less than 1% this year. You think say this stability na real market behavior on our government control measures? Because whenever people from the Ministry of Finance or from the central bank they come, then they talk about different measures what they put for stabilize the exchange rate.
There are some monetary policy where the Bank of Sierra Leone don't put in place with regards the use of exchange rate, use of dollar in the country. However, I believe say with the level of inflation, the exchange rates for Kandong more. And government need for come up with more prudent how you determine exchange number of dollar where you get in your country, where the central bank gets, and where the banks then get, because you know they will go buy product outside of this country for bring and come. They use leos, then they use the international currency, where in a dollar. The last time government may not put a policy say the mining companies where they sell them for repatriate back 30%, but that is not working.
It's not working. Yeah.
It's not working. So when you watch at that could have actually the country they actually Guinea where them exchange rates they dong. That is what is happening. The mining companies that where they operate say they repatriate. I think there is about 50% of the foreign currency line they do back. But in real case, we don't know whether na enforcement. But I see the Minister of Finance in his statement they talk about the extractive. There is a recent act, Extractive Revenue Act, where they put the full implementation of that act. But most times we're thinking undermine the full implementation of laws them with regards mining now and the extractive. It has to do with parliamentary, say they get agreements, concession, parliamentary concession where then they go pass. Some of those concessions, the parliament know they look at First of all, the concessions are being prepared between the government and some of them mining company there, and the Ministry of Finance as the principal fiscal body of the government can always be present. Now then can give them people there huge tax concession. We make me bother saying they eat we them. So now that on tax concession for 2024, you find out over 800 million, 800 billion all loans. 800 of that million given as tax concession to has been given as concession to private companies just in 2024. Similar amount was given to them in 2023.
More.
Yes. So you also get political classes, parliamentarians. You get beaucoup people who they get tax concession in this country. So I think I listened to the way they open the vice president in statement talking about rationalizing that. Let we begin for think around that. And the Minister of Finance in his statement talks say the world now, that money will be they get today from agent. They will get for find innovative ways of bringing out of getting money. So this act with them pass on the now. They already don't get a parliamentary approved agreement. Then we go court and go create all types of bottlenecks. You get some foreign interest and we go intervene, say no, we be not pass this and so on. So government is on the losing side. You find out what happened in Guinea, the Simandou project. You say it take a very long time for because the government of Guinea no one for Washington and they want for ensure say Guineans and Guinea benefited. We in we own case most times we rush through some of these mining agreements, we rush them through. Some of will give lots of tax concession because one or two individuals are benefiting privately at the expense of the state and the country. So they affect we. On what our my brother talk about, I want to agree with that really we not get clean drinking water. Like, for example, the taxes on the bouncer. That water from Guma Valley, we say now na ration. Some area then they on Monday night pump the open. Some then on Wednesday pump the open. We get others that we pump the open at all. Within the hills hard to reach areas. So then go put bouncer in the area, white miller tanks, and then put the be a project, a World Bank project. We then for they go supply water and then people in the pay. So if you put tax on that particular thing, you actually they increase the expenditure, the personal expenditure of families and individuals where they buy them water and
So Dixon, this is not the two they baffle many people. The World Bank put about $40 million US for water projects, but still you see people buy water that they yellow jerry can them. What's the gap then?
Well, the reason we make that particular project was, as I say, forget them miller tanks and they not to me for free. Now being for let government find a way for generate money out of water, let people also get access to water, but enough for be too exorbitant. Putting taxes on that particular one, they make them very exorbitant and they make the poor of the poor. Now they add to rich community and they're not able to get access to clean drinking water. Access to clean drinking water suppose if it be right, not to team way government go say na high-end users. So the word high-end self in the budget actually they create inequality. So for say these are high-end users and use water, clean water. As I rightly say, most of the time the problem will they affect we communities, with people in the die of na typhoid. And typhoid, one of the causes of na dirty water, dirty food. So if people not get access to clean drinking water, then we go see more waterborne diseases in our country.
The minister na the budget reading highlights the energy sector. And he also make mention of the MCC implementation. We for then one for improve on the grids and also solar system them. But with all of them things there, so year in year out, so the Minister of Finance they make mention of now in budget speech them, light situation still bad. blackout still plenty, even with solar projects na different side them and self the district expansion. Why you think say the energy problem still not improve with all them budget allocation there, with donor funding them when they come into the energy sector?
Well, if you look at the budget where the minister he highlight some of the problems and he also give solution with regards to the energy sector. They talk about multiple accounts that we EDSA get. When one of the reasons we make EDSA not able for pay for their own mark you for let we get this huge debt we get to. EDSA are one of the contributors because the government pull give them subsidies for pay. EDSA are able for pay for them service and by right the reason why make we get the unbundling. We get EDSA for distribute and supply electricity, and because we want multiple players for coming to the energy sector, private sector for can supply electricity. At the end of the way, me and you buy top up, EDSA for able for use that money for pay for the electricity. But at most times, EDSA they run to government because EDSA no get that money. So the minister saying that because of multiple accounts. So waiting at the solution where they don't give, they say that they establish a single account where an independent fiduciary agent will manage, meaning the commercial, the EDSA management or financial department able for properly manage these resources when a slap na them EDSA face for able for properly manage these resources for able for pay for because here you know they put light now we meter if we not buy we get prepaid meters now. As you buy before you put light. I also aware that they are in the final the final stage of privatizing the commercial department of EDSA, and we are that a Ugandan company they almost succeed for get that particular thing. We me say the company where they come and they can run the commercial and they can take money and they buy light now so that this pressure could come on a government book, this debt could come on a government hand. Where this certain government go use that money they then get time for spending for education, for spending for free healthcare and other thing. So that's one of the reasons. With regards to the MCC, I think we all the praise it happen. We all the praise because that's therefore do with distribution and transmission lines. And if we get very good distribution and transmission line where they run throughout the country and we get a national grid, it go good for energy distribution. So what they pray that this MCC go happen, but it all overdue. Where they talk about MCC, if you look at the money where government don't pay to Cap Power, for example, if we put some money in a corner, say, let's put this money in a corner. So if we don't get we own small private entity where we light all side, but to be able for actually make some of these transmission and distribution lines that they give problem in our country. So
but Dixon, governments don't spend a lot with regards to EDSA, the management of the electricity distribution across the country. You don't see the president that make a lot of decision bringing new people as ministers in a particular sector, but nothing not able for change. Look at you, they mentioned about how EDSA for able for generate more resources. Does that mean say there is a problem in terms of the leadership?
Well, that's the assumption that there is all problem with electric. Mark you not to now. The former president changed about 5 ministers at EDSA, at Ministry of Energy. The president, in fact, President BOA may maintain one up to 6 years, and now he don't change KKY, don't count a substantive minister. You know, it's a very, very delicate situation in our country, particularly in the city. And if you want government want for generate more money, and then company, you get for give the electricity. Any company any country want for grow, want for give job to youth, in young people. Now electricity you get for investing. Get correct electricity because when investment they can public investment they need some of these things. They need electricity because if you not give the electricity, the money where they for use for employ more workers, then they use and go buy fuel or put na the private electricity plant or generator where they get for owner. So I think it's a very troubling sector. But with them measure their way, I see the Minister of Finance put for reduce waste. For implement the Energy and Water Regulatory Commission Act of 2025, for introduce more private sector participation into the management and operation of ETSA. Because now private people, while they talk about the commercial department, and they can run and they put their money. Then we're able to put mechanism in place. We're able to deal with electricity theft.
So you think there are strong measures?
I think there are strong measures for 2020.
Reduce the about 40% loss.
Yes,
make na technical and commercial sector.
Yes, I believe that.
All right, let's come to you now. Baka, we can talk about council, who are so passionate about. Then we look at the mineral exports. We hear the minister talk about the mineral wealth fund, the budget, and when you look at the mineral exports, the money we did, billions of dollars, but waiting governments they receive, just very, very little of them billions of dollars they are. We about 3 to 6% sometimes.
Not 6%.
Why Salon they get small amount of money from the mineral exports?
We get from the onset, so we begin from mine na Salon. We'll not be able to put we laws them right. Because the only thing we would get, apart from the statutory taxing way they pay for the worker, for the rest thing, now we only to get 3%. And a number of transfer pricing they go on, wherein they're able for shift profits from one division to another. A number of them they happen through so many ways, either over invoicing or under invoicing. Like for example, the company they wouldn't get exemptions because they know who they call the equipment they need pay or that they need pay. Then keep over invoice. What that over invoice mean? It affects the profit because profit now after we don't put all the expenditure, so they increase the expenditures and would affect the profit. So we'll get them wrong from the onset. So the mineral wealth fund idea now a very brilliant idea, wherein the state need to just for collect their royalties, but the state also now part of the process itself. For me, if we able to get on the right, take out don't pronounce them, we ensure say the implementation will get them correct. It will help for solve a whole lot of domestic revenue issues. In country like Ethiopia, now Danny they use for set up the Ethiopia Airlines, the mineral wealth fund. Now the state self gets that. And just imagine the number of resources we Ethiopia Airlines they make for the government. So it's a very brilliant idea. We hope that all the mechanism for it operates in a transparent and accountable manner and go put it in place so that we'll get a lot of revenue. Because how they get 3%, we can be getting 20, 30% and are huge resources. So just imagine them billions of dollars. If not 30% of that resources they come, how much of them go don't contribute to the GDP. So now a very brilliant idea, and we also support that then kind of initiative that we are in. In fact, enough for all it be, if we almost be on almost all of the various mine they would do, if we ensure we get a stake there, not only as a receiving side of reality, but also as part of the investment of itself. Because the whole thing government do now, as we all know, don't take some of the minerals them and find investor for partner them for let them mine and get more profit. So a very brilliant idea.
Most countries the way they do mining, Africa. And of course, if you look at Sahel from 1930, without the mine diamond, and which reflects to the ordinary people is questionable. Does that mean we're not able to get strong mining policies where government will introduce, we will able to get more revenue, and that's for reflect on the people of the country?
You know, we not normally get serious investors then working Canada. When you talk about serious investor, it is also particular about how much government generates for let able to stabilize the country, for let able to operate. Yes, most countries, but there are also example of countries wherein the people really benefit. Take country like Botswana. They really see the impact of the mineral there. Mind you, the mineral there also 10 okay for done. So the 10 day now for we maximize the self ensure say we get so many revenue from the mineral them for do a lot of development them. So it's a combination of so many things then. But the first one, not the law. The second one, again, for dealing with how do we attract serious investors? Not to them investor they want to just kind of rip the country and go. Any serious investor, they care about the people them, they care about the country where they develop. Now that make now at the UN level. 2 weeks back, I be there Kenya for attend the international tax framework. And one of the things where discussion where they go on globally is how do we ensure say countries then benefit from the minerals then. And that's why the issue of these arm's length principles where they make out for treat subsidiary them as an independent, it's not working for countries like we. So there's now new dynamic where they go on around and call them unitary formula apportionment. We mean say business on the way will pay tax in relation to the resources, the country they get resources, in relation to the economic activity where they go on. For example, if a company based in London, they do an investment in Nayaso, if you're able to pay tax to Salon based on the mineral where they pull now, so the profits where they generate globally. Well, mostly what can happen in real context, not just value to the pay. And we need take drastic step for move away from just getting reality from in a way that will also ensure say we benefit from the resource system. Because that resource is small for manage.
When you look at the 2026 expenditure projection, you notice a big gap between the deficits. Ban concern say this deficits too big and risky.
Of course, the deficits now one big problem we can make with the take beaucoup debt. So most of it will be happen that big goal cover all. And we see in 2025 the deficit including grants now at 9 billion. And one of the good things we are seeing in this budget, the government on side of this down by almost half. And we hope so that trajectory they continue. Because when the deficit is big, the fiscal policy we are available now for good for us. Either good for us out or it was inside salon. And we on case now with it first more inside salon. And it costly. For example, 4 or 5 months back, the interest on treasury bond for the be about 40%. Just imagine the impact they get. So, and the only way for with these deficits, there is no magic. Now for cut it tail according to his size, reduce the expenditures then. And we see in this 2026 budget, government type of reduce the expenditure then. For the first time, after a number of years, we see the same budget we then plan for spend overall. Now the same budget then plan for spend from last year, now the same budget for spend this year. So why even though the revenue increased, they still maintain the expenditure, and we don't see they don't try for reduce the deficit we government don't get. But again, apart from the deficits, we also go for understand say with budget is still there at a level where the resources will remain for service delivery is small. If you take the debt service, we include the interest payment and the principal amount, now around 35% of domestic budget for 2026. Of course, if you take wage bill, now slightly above 30%. So if you put all together, you go for something like close to 70-75%.
Talking about
we have just 2 main expenditures then. That's from domestic budget. So from the domestic budget, the government, the fiscal space for spend is small.
When you talk about service delivery, it brings me to the question I want to ask you earlier around the wage bill. The wage bill alone for 2025 now around 5.3 billion, but still service delivery poor. We don't hear the Minister of Finance, they talk about reforms. You think say the reforms then they around the wage bill where the Minister of Finance they talk about go become practical or not just talk, the minister can talk?
In almost every budget speech you don't see, they talk about wage bill, how for this wastages, how for do this. They don't set up the wage and commission Wage and Compensation
Commission.
we still not become fully operational yet. So in the wage bill aspect, number one, government need to ensure say that commission will set is operational and independent. Because a very unfair, the same degree, same qualification, you do open a ministry A, you get 10,000, you do open a ministry A, and get 1,000. So now I mean, I said that commission for can look at all of the issues and but for now, they just don't set up and not begin operationalize it. And until it begin operationalize, we see how it don't place people and based on qualification experience at the same level, then maybe we'll begin see some number of savings around the wage bill. Of course, there is the issue around how do we rationalize the MDs then. We feel say there are MDs and we need for be put together who will perform the same functions. There's a lot of institutions them where the function they perform, other institutions will perform effectively. Hereby seeing a whole lot of cost around that particular day. In relation to the IMF benchmark, the country they attack because IMF benchmark they say government for spend more than 6% of GDP about on wage bill, and based on the rebasing what government do right now, we are around 4.2 of the GDP government is spent on wage bill. But for we, that not really the major concern. The major concern is how do we ensure that we really operationalize the wage and compensation commission for ensure say we really look into the wage bill issues. It's an old age problem. Almost every budget they talk about how to do this, but for say something and for doing are quite two different things. Then, if you look for example the teacher the teachers there, how many things they don't do clean up of the teacher there, the wage bill for the teachers there, the ghost teachers there. In fact, for let Michael in term they perfect ghost teachers them. Up to now, we still they perfect ghost teacher them. So and the thing is, we need to make deliberate effort as a country for go full digitalizations. That have enough full to do with digitalization right now, and it help. It creates room for manipulation, and we will create room for possible corruption for actually happened. So on the wage bill, in as much as it's still there 4.2% of GDP, we still get a lot of work for it in terms of addressing a number of problems then within the wage bill.
All right, quickly for wrap up with you, Thomas. Yeah. As of August 2025, salon debt stock na about 3.1 billion, and the domestic debt as of end of 2023 na about 1.87 billion, and as of August now this year na 20.78 billion. As journalist, you feel say this debt level really dangerous for the country?
Yeah, it's dangerous that we get this huge debt, particularly from because say obviously you get loans, international loans, you obviously get forget debt, but particularly this domestic borrowing, it make the banks them very complacent. It crowd out private sector investment. It make you and me when small and medium enterprises who know they get loan. In fact, access to finance rating is very low in our country, and because of government to go borrow. So what the bank then they sit down, then they go out for go do business, then they find innovative ways for ensure say they make profits. So you see every year them bank there, almost all the bank they tell you say they don't make profit. The reason why, because interest rates on domestic borrowing they are about 40%. Now due to IMF intervention, IMF say that is too high for government for the borrow from them. It should be drastically reduced. And now it's about 16-17%. So I think it's worrisome, and I think as a nation we need to do more, particularly the financial sector, the banks, for ensure say financial inclusivity. In terms of financial inclusivity, according to World Bank, the mobile money, they do more better. Banks, more women feel safe for put their money in a mobile money, then they do better than the banks. So the banks need to think innovatively. Now that this all reduced and now open pray that this interest rates on domestic borrowing will also go reduce more, so that banks then will begin for think out of the box for ensure say the loan Khadija we don't get a small media entrepreneurship business, give them small money, give them good interest, give them time for pay that money they. But in our country, not been happen. We're seeing government to get the money, and now we money they lend back to government who go put a bank. We in fact even they against the Bank of Sierra Leone Act. Now they go give to government. Coming to the mineral wealth, I think it's good thing that you raise it. For me, I think it's a good idea. But already we don't begin to see some problems. In the recent World Bank report, World Bank highlights conflict of interest. The Minister of Finance is the chairman of Sierra Leone Mines and Mineral Development Corporation Board, and is also the chair of the Mineral Wealth Fund Board. That's conflict of interest. Then I also believe we also see that there's a foreign company called Mangu. I've forgotten the actual name. There's also get agreements in the parliament. If you look at that agreement, we for manage this mineral wealth fund, it's one of the worst agreements. So they are already we will get for the give, and if we begin for get this mineral wealth fund, we get for the give them 10% of the money where they generate 15%, small money where they get for the take. So I think there should be, if we really want to be serious about the mineral wealth fund, we need to go over all this sector back. And again, another thing where I notice, we are say the Minister of Finance and some people at the Ministry of Finance and say then go to China, then go sign with a company called Kovic for 300 million. We are talking about $300 million. We are talking about over 6 billion worth of iron ore and other minerals in Kasafoni alone. That money is a small money for this call for that. So as my brother rightly say, we know they attract serious investors at this country. We attract fly-by-night investor we go kind not being get even good motor car. As he begin mine so. As he begin mine will not to develop. He don't buy 5 private jets. Don't buy 2 private jets.
But according to the minister, they look at this budget as focused on domestic revenue mobilization.
Initially, now I tell you that simply means the government is desperate for raising revenue. The reason why I made the government desperate for raising revenue, this government gets they get very high expenditure, very high expenditure when they get for cushion. Despite the budget deficit reduced, but it is still high. For example, we go to the indexes on presidential overseas travel. The budget in 2024 now been 35 billion volumes. Now it's about 108 billion in budget for presidential overseas traveling. And when you watch it, easy why make according to the World Bank say we reserve depleted, and so they spend more on goods and services, including overseas traveling. And one of the reasons. So we see instead of they rationalize them, it increase drastically. So the government is desperate and would always say, hey, this is poor people budget. But what don't point out the fact here, if you get taxes on fuel, for example, you get taxes on cement, it's definitely going to affect other things in the country.
So basically, how you assess the Minister of Finance?
Well, I think the minister he don't do his work. He work now for ensure say this are the major policy. The financial the Appropriation Act, they don't can go to parliament. For ensure say government where they direct government out for generate revenue. Fiscal policy now they don't do so. They don't can go back in parliament. They direct how government they generate revenue and how government they expend them. They don't do your work. It's left with implementation. Because in terms of revenue generation, I see they talk about digitalization, fully digitalization, which we go up. Because the amount we all aware last year say about 150 billion volumes in loss customs to NRA staff. We all aware they go out and can do and they see fly over. They come, if they select the container, they report it in the system. By the time they mara, That money they no report to government go far. They go na private individual in pockets. The language done na custom they then call and fly over. Meaning they fly over the system. So we need a fully automated system. And we need if we need let people know say if I bring in motorcar we na 10 years ago. These are the price what na 10 years production of this motorcar. These are the price, a constant. If I know say na $1,000, for example, if I car with me Nissan way old 10 years, now for pay na Wataki. There is no need for that go negotiate.
All right, Dixon.
The price said it.
I just want to comment on this Wataki.
Yes.
And I see it in the minister, they talk about the single window system at the ports. And our system will also the support. Because, you know, I don't go clear goods now Wataki once and obviously I'll go there again. The hustle way I face. You have to go to so many offices them. Wow. So this single window system where the minister announced, by the way, it didn't have the million time development plan. The president in May make that pronouncement and the minister itself for now implement them. It go ensure say I can sit down and do all my declarations then through a single window system. It will also help for reconcile. Because one of the things that happen the ports, the offices that they need to talk together. The same document where they use and for using that, but they need to talk together. So a lot of forgery they go on where they make the state they lose resources. So we really hope say by 2026 they go implement the single window system. We will bring a whole lot of issues in terms of addressing leakages, bringing more revenue. Above all, reduce the cost of doing business and the ease of doing business will go somehow improved.
All right, quickly, we not go talk without mentioning the local council. Now, one day on be done they raise concern, but say they know they get the allocation on time. Local council then still know they raise revenue. They know they raise revenue well. How band thinks say reforms go able for make the local council them be more transparent? Because if you listen to parliament and they talk about issues of transparency, no they in the way how they generate the revenue.
There's a lot of discussion where they go on around local council revenue. Of course, one of the biggest side of forget revenue is property tax, but they enable utilize that aspect well in terms of getting the system ready and encouraging people to pay. The compliance rate is very, very low. And the Local Government Act make it clear in terms of transparency that they need to be transparent, publish information where they get, and tell the people how they utilize the resources. I mean, quite recently, we support two US side, we support Ward C by bringing 27,000 properties there into the cadastral systems. And we see the revenue almost triple, even though it's still not reached a compliance of up to 20% of the household them. And even the Minister of Finance then talk about the aspects of continue for do strategies, revenue mobilization strategy for the local councils them. And there are a couple of things them around the local councils. Number one, we got to also look at the capacity of the council staff them for able to manage some of them system in there. But above all, the transparency and accountability. Because a lot of people they refuse for pay because then they see or the council they would tell them where exactly the resources they go. But if council really need for generate resources, one area to focus on are the properties rates. Because now sure and possible area where they will generate enough resources.
Okay, many thanks. So now join me this morning, gentlemen, for this edition of the Breakfast Show. Also, we start for look at the 2026 budget where the Minister of Finance, Sheku Ahmed Fantamadi, been going to Parliament on Friday. While we will continue for look inside the different side and inside this budget. Hopefully inside this week, we'll get somebody from the Minister of Finance for let himself can break down some of the issues them way come out inside the budget. Just like what you don't get with independent analysis and on do this morning. Many thanks to Musa Saokoma, we give technical support to the production team for let this edition of the Breakfast Show reach you. Mina Khadija Bangura, they say have a nice day.
And Mina Al-Hassan Kuma, they wish you all a pleasant day. Continue for watch Liberty Television. As throughout the day, we're going to upload different content in our page.
At Farmers, freshness isn't just a promise, it's our way of life. From raw and smoked catfish to kanya peppers, beignet, rice and gari kanya and natai, from premium crayfish, ogiri and fufu to smoked chicken, fresh eggs from the farm to the fridge, country chicken and garden fresh vegetables. Try our habanero pepper, gari, hot pepper sauce, pure honey and so much more. All locally produced, organically grown, harvested fresh every day and hygienically processed. A fresher taste, healthier foods, stronger communities. Farmers, fresh from our farms to your home. Visit Farmers at 1 Fode Drive Hill Station, Freetown. Call +232 74 000044.
The Ministry of Social Welfare, in collaboration with the National Commission for Persons with Disability, Sierra Leone Union on Disability Issues, organizations of persons with disabilities, and our development partners, join the world to celebrate the International Day of Persons with Disabilities on the 3rd December at the Miata Conference Car Park, UE Building in Freetown. This event will be marked by advocacy on the rights and privileges of persons with disabilities in relation to the Persons with Disability Act and the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability, the Amman Berlin Declaration, and other declarations that Sierra Leone is a signatory to.
So, what will happen on this day?
On the 3rd, the day itself, we will have the celebration starting with a wheelchair parade in the morning. Then the event itself with speeches and commitment from the government and our development partners, followed by a panel session on the rights and privileges of persons with disabilities with ministries, departments, and agencies. Then a talent exhibition and fashion show, music, dance, and drama.
Is that all?
Not at all. On the 4th of December, we have partnered with the UN Women to have a very informative and engaging town hall session exclusively on women with disabilities.
Together, let us amplify the leadership of persons with disabilities for an inclusive and sustainable future.
You are watching Liberty Breakfast Show on Liberty Online TV.